Guys, welcome to video 3 of the calorie tracking series. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about mastering the process. We're going to be taking those skills that we learned in the previous video, in video 2, where we really got into the nitty-gritty, and building on them, talking a bit more situational. How can you actually use, like, what's a day going to look like? You know what I mean? What's a day going to look like on the weekend? What method are you going to use for what situation? And talking about little things. We're going to talk about alcohol today. We're going to talk about counting all the extra things that people usually forget. We're going to be getting into we're going to be building on the knowledge and tools that we now have from the previous video, and getting right into it. All right, so let's get into it. I'm super keen. Overview. So today we're going to be covering these things. So first one, tracking the little things. Okay, so the little things that people usually don't really think about: supplements, pre-workouts, coffee, all those sort of things. Little things that add up. Maybe they don't have too many calories, but together they have quite a few calories. Then quite a few more calories than you think, which can push you over, if you are trying to hit a certain amount. So pre-tracking, which is, I'll talk about in a second. It's basically sitting down at the start of the day or the night before and just planning what you're going to eat for the day after. Just being proactive, and instead of going through the day and planning and tracking as you eat, which sometimes you're going to need to do, you can just plan the whole day, okay, and then just go out that day and just eat what you've already planned, okay. I definitely recommend doing pre-tracking. Fixing a bad macronutrient ratio. So that's if you get to the end of the day and you're a little bit down on protein, or you're a little bit down on carbs, or you're a little bit, if you're mainly, it's going to be you haven't hit your protein. What are you going to eat to be able to supplement, to be able to get your macronutrient ratio right? That's like a scenario at the end of the day usually. Tracking alcohol, getting you sort of educated as to where alcohol fits in this whole process. Flexibility versus consistency. So once you've learned how to track your calories, and you've learned how to track macros, you can be as consistent or as flexible as you want with your diet. Okay, obviously we're going to be giving you lots of diet ideas, but you can just pick which ones you like, whether you want to do a different meal each day or you want to do same meal each day. And you can sort of choose what's going to work best for you. The compensation method, okay, we're going to be talking about today, which is basically if you go under or over your calories, how do you compensate it, or how do you bank your calories? Meal prepping. We're going to be talking about a little bit about meal prepping and where that sits in all of this. We're going to be talking about flexible dieting as well, which is basically having pizzas, pastas, hamburgers, all those sort of yummy foods, but in a macro-friendly way, okay? And different scenarios as well. So actually going through scenarios, what methods you'd use for what scenarios, when you'd guesstimate, when you'd weigh, when you'd do all these things, pre-track sort of thing. So, let's just go through it. So first thing, don't forget the little things, okay? So if it has calories, if it has calorie value to it, and you ingest it, or whatever it is, supplements, pre-workout, cooking oil, whatever, it must be accounted for, okay? So this includes cooking oil. Even if you're only using 5 grams of olive oil when you cook, you're just doing a little spray, maybe even just 3 grams, that's going to be accounted for as well. Dressings and seasonings as well. You never know, your dressing might be a fatty dressing and might add 100 calories to your dinner. Sauces, supplements, fish oils, creatine, pre-workouts, coffee and tea. Coffee and tea don't have calories in it, but if you're putting milk in it, you got to account for the milk. Even if it's only 100 mils of milk, that still could be like 50 to 80 calories. Okay, and I know it's not a lot, and it seems a bit sort of it seems a bit excessive and a little bit, what's the word? Yeah, it just seems like obsessive. They can add up. You could be going over your calories by 300 to 500. And not losing as much weight as you thought you would have because you've forgotten to track those things as well, okay? They may be low in calories, but together they add up. So tip, this is what I'd recommend. So we talked about meals in the last video, so pre-selected grouping of ingredients. Make one for your snacks. I think I talked a little bit about it in the last video. Make one for snacks. My daily snacks slash coffee slash supplements. Just put them all into one thing that you have on the daily. Like if you have 2 coffees a day, plus your supplements, plus your creatine and pre-workout or whatever, put it all in one grouping. And so you don't have to log them individually every single day. You can just go daily snacks, bang, tick, and then all of those things can just be added up. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that, creating a meal for all these little things, okay? And when you're cooking and stuff, using oils, logging the oil and dressings and all that sort of stuff as well. So don't forget the little things when you're doing, when you're tracking your calories as well. Pre-tracking, so this is just being organized and being proactive. That's basically what this method is. So instead of tracking your calories as you eat throughout the day, like on the go, like while you're eating and stuff, use the pre-tracking method. So basically this is where you sit down at the start of the day or you sit down the night before and you log in everything that you think you're going to be having for the day. You can then tinker the amounts and add in or take out other foods to make sure the calories are right on. If you go through the day, you've planned out everything, you've already logged everything. If you miss a meal or you replace a meal, whatever, you can change it on the spot. And then you can go to eat everything you've planned and just make small changes if you need to. You can do this when creating a new meal plan as well to make sure you're hitting everything. Okay, so if you create a new meal plan and you've pre-selected your meals for your breakfast, you've pre-made your meals for your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and your snacks on MyFitnessPal. You can just every day just log all of them, make sure the weight is correct for all of them as well. And then let's say like you have a different dinner, you go out for dinner instead. But then you just delete that and then just swap it out with something else. Or the weight for your lunch isn't exactly what you've logged. You can just tinker it as you go. But if you sit down at the start of the day or the night before and just pre-select everything you've done, like just pre-add everything you've done or everything you want to eat, then it's a great method because it's going to keep you organized and accountable. It saves time as well, so you don't have to go on the app like 5 times a day, and prevents impulse eating as well. So, this is how much I've accounted for to hit my exact calories and protein. I'm not going to go and eat those chocolates because I know it's going to put me out of whack. Or maybe you just account it in and take something out, instead of having to replan your entire day. It controls impulse eating and assures that you're going to hit your perfect calories and macros every day. Often I see people either getting to the end of the day, like just tracking as they go, getting to the end of the day and they're not going to hit their calories and macros. Like their calories are already full, but they're 50 grams of protein short because they haven't taken the time to actually work it out. Or they haven't given themselves enough calories at nighttime, and therefore they're super hungry before bed. So they're like, I've already hit my calories because I haven't planned it out beforehand. I ate a massive breakfast and then I had to have a really small lunch and dinner, and now I'm really, really hungry. So you don't want to be in that scenario. Pre-track, be organized so that you know what you're going to eat for the day and you can just go and eat it. Okay. Or even just a general idea and then go and tinker as you go. Okay. So how to fix a bad macronutrient ratio. You get to the end of the day, you've been tracking on the go. What can you eat at night time to fix fix in general? What can you do at nighttime or in general to fix a bad ratio? Okay, so let's say you're down on protein, foods like YoPro yogurt, protein powder, egg whites, lean meats, fat-free cottage cheese, tofu, light milk. These are protein-heavy foods that you can sort of just add into your dinner or add into like a dessert or something like that. Like what I'll do sometimes when I'm low on protein, I'll just add YoPro yogurt with protein powder, and it makes like a chocolate mousse, and I'll put some sugar-free maple syrup or some like berries or something on top, something low calorie, and that's like a little dessert to have at the end of the day if I'm 30 or 40 calories short. Those are protein dominant foods so that you can fix a bad macronutrient ratio if you need to. If your meals earlier in the day were very fat and carb dominant, not a lot of protein, you can fix that by having more protein at night or whatever. Fat dominant foods: avocado, mixed nuts, olive oil, peanut butter, egg yolks, dark chocolate, cheese, fatty fish. You usually, like, fats don't really matter that much. You want to obviously be having healthy fat sources. But if you find yourself, down on fats, you want to bring them up a little bit, then those are the fat dominant sources. Carbs: fruits, vegetables, cereals, crumpets, toast, rice, pasta, jam, maple syrup, honey, barbecue. So these are all foods that have lots of carbs, but not a lot of fat and protein. So the fatty foods, not a lot of protein and carbs, but a lot of fat. And then the protein dominant foods, there are a lot of protein dominant foods are very high in protein, but low in those other macronutrients. Okay, so just for your knowledge, so that if you do have a bad macronutrient ratio, maybe add some of these foods in to fix it up a little bit. Okay. Or if you get to the end of the day and you just need to, have a bit of yogurt, have a bit of protein yogurt or a protein shake at the end of the day just to get the protein up, that those are high in protein foods that aren't going to spike your calories too much. Okay. Tracking alcohol. Let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol has calories in it, and therefore we need to include it in our daily calories. Okay. Alcohol is considered wasted calories because it doesn't really carry any nutritional value or food volume, and therefore it does not make your body feel full or nutritionally satisfied. So when you're in a dieting phase, that's why alcohol can be a little bit destructive, because it doesn't, like, you still feel hungry after you're having alcohol, and often you're having alcohol with, high calorie foods as well. So it's sort of like, double the, you're really loading up your calories when you're having lots of drinks. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with alcohol necessarily, as long as you're adding it into your daily calories. Okay. So depending on what you're drinking, let's just talk about educationally, how many calories are in alcohol. Depending on what you're drinking, there can also be calories from carbs and sugar as well. So like cocktails, lots of carbs and sugar as well. Cocktail might have 120 calories from alcohol, but then 80 calories from sugar, and therefore it'd be a 200 calorie drink. It can add up quick. You have 5 cocktails, 1,000 calories done. So what you do when you do add the alcohol is you just search up what type of alcohol you're having on MyFitnessPal, and the brand, if it's there, like you're having a Corona, you just search up Corona beer on MyFitnessPal, and if it's there, it can be inaccurate, so maybe just cross-check on the internet, just search up on Google how many calories are in a Corona, just make sure that that's sort of about the same as what it is on MyFitnessPal. Cross-check the internet just to make sure the calories are right, and then you can just go ahead and log it. So if you're having, 4 Coronas, you can just go find the Corona on MyFitnessPal, and then you just log 4 of them. Bang, you've allowed for 4 Coronas that night, so that it's added to your overall calories. You might have to bank your calories a little bit, eat a little bit less in the morning, or eat a little bit less the day before, or a little bit less the day after, but you've allowed for those calories, so you can still enjoy the drinks, but not overload your calories and still still progress towards your goal. Okay. So that is how you would basically track alcohol. But let's talk about alcohol choices, because if you're someone who finds, if you really do like beer, and you find yourself having those higher calorie beers or cocktail, for example, but you still like to drink, maybe it would be a good idea to start to choose more lower calorie drinks. Okay. So this is basically, this will give you a bit of education as to what that kind of looks like. So different drinks have different calorie densities. If you aren't sure on Google, search it up on Google. But examples are beer. A regular beer is usually about 140 to 170 calories. So, you have like 10 beers, that's like 1,400 to 1,700 calories. It's a lot of calories, and it can add up, and you can see how people who are big drinkers, they can get fat really quick because they're just in a calorie surplus every single day, because they're constantly drinking. Well, not constantly drinking, but they're drinking every day. Okay. Light beers are usually about 90 to 100 calories. So like better beer, for example, is like 84 calories. So if you still want to have, 6 beers, then you can just find better beer on MyFitnessPal and then log it. Or if you can't find it as an option, you can just go add food and manually add the food. But yeah, light beer is usually about 90 to 100 calories. A craft beer can be a lot more. So it's like 170, can be up to like 350 calories in a craft beer, because they're very high, they're very high alcohol density. Okay. Wine's usually about 150 to 200 calories per glass. It depends on the type of alcohol. So it depends on the type of wine and the serving size, how much you've got in your glass as well. And some wines have sugar in them as well. So like Moscato or just sort of sweeter wines, they can have sugar in them as well. And then, plus that with the alcohol calories, it can, the calories can get pretty high on those sort of wines. Okay. But, a general clean white wine or a general, clean glass of red wine is usually around that sort of 150 calories. Okay. But if you're not sure, just search it up on the internet, search up the brand and the serving size so you can be accurate with your adding. Okay. Cocktails. So cocktails can range between 150 to 300 calories per glass. Again, it just depends on the alcohol and sugar. But if you're unsure, just sort of search it up on MyFitnessPal, and then add in what you think it sort of is. Okay. Basic mixes. So this is a bit of a lower calorie option, like high alcohol, low calorie. Basic mixes with diet or sugar-free options. So like vodka, gin, tequila, with like no sugar soft drink, soda, tonic. Those are good options if you want to keep your calories low and still have a few drinks. Okay. So it can be like 90 to 120 calories per drink and, 1 to 2 standards per drink, so you can sort of, if you want to have a couple of drinks, those are the more healthier drinks that I would recommend people, especially if you're going through a dieting phase, you're trying to lose weight, lose a lot of body fat. Those are the drinks that you want to be having when you are drinking alcohol. So maybe if you are going through like an 8 to 12 week dieting phase, maybe just coming off the cocktails a little bit, like if you're a big cocktail drinker or a big beer drinker, just coming off that and just doing mixes during that time. And maybe having one cocktail or one beer, one of your favorite beer every now and then. But when you do drink, you just have those basic mixes with sugar-free or whatever, soda, tonic. Then that's going to really help you, still enjoy yourself, but also be able to stick to your calories as well. Again, don't feel guilty drinking as long as you factored it into your calories. Okay. So you might just need to eat a little less the day before or the day after, or the day of, which we'll sort of talk about in a second, which is the compensation method, essentially. Okay. It's just all about factoring it in. As long as you factored it in, there's no stress. You can enjoy yourself and have a few drinks on the weekend. Okay. But just understand the more you do have and the higher density of calories a certain alcohol does have in it, the more compensating you're going to have to do. And it's going to really, if your drinks do load up, then that's going to take a bit of a bite out of your hunger. You're going to feel it in your hunger, the next couple of days if you do have to compensate. You're going to generally just be more hungry. Okay. So you don't want to be in that situation for sure. So, even if you are in a social situation, just instead of like going all out and having like 10 drinks, maybe you just stop at 4. You're a little bit buzzed and you're happy and you're content and you understand that you're in a period where you're trying to lose a lot of body fat and you don't want to go too crazy. Still enjoy yourself and add it into your calories, but don't go too crazy on it. Okay. What I don't like is when, people are having like 1,500 calories of alcohol and they've left themselves like, 600 calories of food to eat that day. It's going to be very hard to stick to that if you are doing that. Yes, it would work. Like you would still be losing weight, but that's a really bad idea. So, just accounting maybe like 400 to 500 calories towards drinks, whether that's like 3 beers or maybe like 6 better beers or, that would be equivalent to, maybe like one or 2 cocktails. Then that's safe, around 500 calories of alcohol. Any more than that, you're taking a real big chunk out of your food, your nutrients that you want to be consuming. Okay. So that's a little bit of education about alcohol. As I said, as long as you count it, that's the main thing. Flexibility versus consistency. So when you're creating a meal plan, like for yourself, one that you want to be able to sort of stick to, obviously we're going to give you some ideas that you can go and sort of pick and choose which ones you really like and make your own meal plan. You're gonna choose basically how flexible or consistent you want to be. So some people like having different meals every single day. Some people like eating the same exact thing every single day. Okay. Do you prefer different foods or eating the same foods every day, or even a mixture? maybe the same breakfast and lunch and different dinners every night, and different options over the weekend. That's sort of what most people kind of like to go for. It doesn't matter. It's just about what you prefer, and counting calories is great because it gives you that choice between, do I want to be consistent? Generally, the more consistent you are, and I think I go through this here, generally the more variety and flexibility you have in your diet, the more time you will be spending cooking, weighing, and logging the different food combinations. So take a little bit more time if you want to have more variety and flexibility. But if you're happy to spend a little bit more time cooking, logging, weighing, then go for it. That's more than okay. Often this is what people will do. Prefer to do on the weekend when they have a little bit more time to do all that. They can sort of have an English breakfast and just sort of put the eggs and bacon and whatever in. It's different, and you can have different stuff, and you can have lots more variety in your diet. Okay, if you prefer a bit more of a consistent approach, then it means that you're probably going to be using meals on MyFitnessPal. So if you have like oats every day for breakfast 7 days a week, then that you're just going to be using that one meal, and it'll just be logged that every single day. It makes it takes a little bit less of the time out of logging every single ingredient every day. So it's a little bit faster, and it takes less time when you're logging. As well, if you get into meal prepping as well, that will take even more time out because you won't have to weigh. It'll be all pre-weighed for you and pre-made for you. So all you have to do is just log the meal on MyFitnessPal, and you're good to go. So if you're going for the consistent approach, you're happy to sort of eat the same lunch every day, I definitely recommend getting into meal prepping. It doesn't matter whether you're doing flexible or consistency, as long as you're hitting your calories and macro every day set out by your coach. That is the main thing. Okay. But most likely you'll probably want a mixture of flexible versus consistent. Okay. But it just gives you that choice. So have a little bit of think about whether I want to, and whether I'm all right with sort of eating the same things every day, taking a bit of time out of it, or do you want a more flexible approach where you are putting a little bit more time into sort of logging and weighing and doing all that stuff on a bit more of a regular basis. Okay. Cool. So the compensation method, like I was talking about before. So basically, if you have a plan, curveballs keep getting thrown your way, and you just happen to go over your calories for the day, and you've undershot your protein, for example, it happens. Just be better prepared next time. Maybe you didn't pre-track. Maybe bombshell happened, and you just gone over your calories for the day. Or you've had lots of drinks, and then you've had extra food or something like that. You've gone over your calories by like 1,000 or something like that. Try not to just leave it there. Like you want to use this compensation method to get back on track. Okay. So what I would do in this scenario is you would compensate the next day or two. You can also do this in reverse. You can bank your calories. So if you've got a big night on Friday night and you want to have 8 drinks, just take some calories off Thursday and Friday. Wednesday and Thursday, so that when you get to Friday, you've banked those calories so you can have more calories in that day. Because overall, your daily calories is not as important as your overall average weekly calories. So let's say your calorie amount is 2,000 calories, and you're planning to have 1,000 more calories you're planning to have 3,000 calories on Friday, because you've got a big night or whatever. Then on Wednesday and Thursday, what you could do is just take 500 calories off those days, or take 330 calories off Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that when you get to Friday, you've got those extra calories to play with. Okay, so that's how you would bank your calories. But you can also do this as well, which is basically, if you do happen to overshoot it, you weren't predicting it. Let's say you overshoot your calories 300, you undershoot your protein amounts by 30 grams. So the next day, you would just have 300 less calories and 30 grams more protein the next day. So it'll be less calories, more protein the next day. Problem solved. You can move on. You're still going to be progressing towards your goal. Might be a little bit hungrier on that day, but that's just the price you'll have to pay if you do end up sort of just going over those amounts. Okay. And you also have a very protein dominant day if you're low on protein. Okay. If you overshoot something crazy like 1,200 calories or something, you don't want to take that off in one day. Otherwise, it's just going to be a shit fight of a day. You're going to be so hungry. So I would divide this into 3 days. Okay. You sort of don't want to be taking more than 500 calories out of your out of your daily amount. So if you overshoot by 1,200 calories, I'd say just divide it into 400, and then for the next 3 days, just take 400 calories off each day, okay? And then just go back to normal. Same with the protein as well. You can either take it off in 1 day, or you can sort of divide it by a couple of days, and so it can equal out, so that the average is whatever your goal is, okay? So the compensation method, ideally you don't want to go down this route very often. It's just if you haven't planned something and you happen to overshoot, this is how you compensate for those additional calories, okay? Meal prepping. So meal prepping is super, I'm a big pro meal prep guy. So it saves time and it saves money. The first step is you want to pick your meal and meals. So let's say I want to have oats for breakfast, overnight oats, and for lunch I'm going to have teriyaki beef mince and rice with veggies. Maybe just something simple if you're not too fussed about your meal choices. It might be spaghetti bolognese or something like that. I'm not sure. But put aside after you've picked your meals, put aside 1 to 2. Put aside time 1 to 2 times a week. So I do a massive cook up on Sunday where I make all the food for the next 7 days, and do a massive cook up. And then you would basically equally divide that food into the containers for the week. And this is how you'd log it. First, you would weigh the collective amount. So the total amount of, let's say you have a chicken, rice, and seasoning and veg, for example. You'd weigh the total amount of chicken, the total amount of uncooked rice, the total amount of marinade and seasoning that you're using. Let's say you're using teriyaki marinade, and the total amount of mixed veg as well. And then basically you would divide those particular amounts, and then you'd make a meal with those divided amounts. So let's say you're using a kilo of chicken, you're prepping for 10 days or 7 days, or let's just say 10 days. Then you would divide a kilo of chicken by 10. That's 100 grams of chicken per meal, okay? And then you just log that in, 100 grams of chicken. Do the same thing for rice. A kilo of raw rice. I'm just using general amounts here. Kilo of raw rice over 10 days. Bang, that's 100 grams of uncooked rice per day. But obviously you're cooking it, but you want to use the uncooked amounts if you can, because it's more accurate, okay? So yeah, you would divide that by the amount of meals you're having. Let's say 5. Let's say you prep from Monday to Friday. Divide it by 5. That's another good example. And you put those divided amounts into MyFitnessPal, and you can easily log it every day as a pre-made meal, okay? And you don't have to weigh and cook and prep every single day, okay? So that's the big thing, is not having to weigh and cook and prep stuff every single day. Saves you so much time, and also saves you a lot of money as well, because you're not eating out. You're not eating out or spending extra money than you would need to. You've got all the meals there, okay? All right, so that's meal prepping. So the other thing about meal prepping is, if you couldn't be bothered to meal prep, like weighing foods, you don't have the time, you could also invest in a meal prepping company like YouFoods or Core Power Foods. So those are basically companies where you look up on the website. So you can look up YouFoods or Core Power Foods, and you would go in and you select a package. Usually they have packages of 10 to 20 meals. And then you would order it. It rocks up at your door, like they deliver it to you, and then you put it in the fridge, and then you basically just have those. You just scan the barcodes. They have barcodes on each of the meals with all the macros in it, like YouFoods, for example, and then you just add that to your lunch. And so it's all pre-portioned, pre-prepared, pre-weighed, so you don't have to do all that stuff. So it saves a lot of time, but it is a little bit more money. So more money, saves a bit of time of the cooking, prepping, and weighing. But it's also usually cheaper than takeout. If you're getting like a $20 takeout, usually you can get meal prep meals for, $8 to $10 each, something like that. And it's trackable, so you can hit your calories and macros. So if you're really busy, that's something you're interested in, definitely recommend it. I know lots of my clients that are super busy. They get lots of YouFoods or Core Power Foods, and they can still track it every day and make sure they're hitting their calories and macros, okay? So if you're interested in meal prepping, we also have we will have a meal prepping series. It might already be out now at the time that you're watching this video, but it also might not be out quite yet, but we will have a video on how to meal prep as well if we don't already. So you can look, if you are interested in meal prepping, you can look into that and get meal prepping, okay? But if you sort of have a general idea of how you're going to do it, then you can just go for it and get stuck into it, okay? Flexible dieting, this is another thing we're going to cover as well. So this is basically if you're trying to find foods that are simple, tasty, filling, high in protein and low in calories, then these recipes do exist. Pizzas that are like high in protein and low in calorie. Chicken wings that are like air fryer chicken wings that are like high in protein, low in calories. Chicken nuggets, like all those sort of unhealthier foods. People out there, Instagram accounts and stuff, make them and post the recipes, and you can go and make them, on a Saturday night or make them for your meal prep or whatever, so you can still hit your calories and macros, but enjoy the foods that you love, okay? So there are many people on Instagram now finding certain recipes and manipulating the calories and methods to make tasty foods that are higher in protein, lower in calories, keeping you fuller for longer and satisfying your cravings all at once. If that sounds really good, then go follow these accounts, okay? So as of right now, I'm following these accounts on Instagram that make these kind of recipes. So the first one is Jalal Sam Fit. He does more like meal prep. So he'll do lots of like meal prep videos where he'll like give you all the recipes and the ingredients that he uses, and it might be like a chicken chow mein noodles or something like that. But it's got this amount of protein and only this amount of calories, and he might use like low calorie, noodles or something like that. But they sort of take you through it, and then you basically, copy it across to your MyFitnessPal as a meal. Go and meal prep it. They show you how to meal prep it and stuff, and then you'd meal prep your meals for the week. Okay, Zach Chug is another one. He does different sort of content now, but a lot of his older content was really, really good. He does a mixture of like meal prep and also like just yummy foods as well. The flexible dieting lifestyle. So you can search up any of these accounts on Instagram if you have your phone with you now. It's more cheat meals. Like he'll have like, he does a lot of dessert items like cakes and pasties and, nuggets, and well, nuggets aren't dessert, but like sort of cheat meals like that, where he sort of shows you how to make it using the air fryer and, all those sort of awesome, methods that you can use. Razi as well, Razi YYZ. He does a mixture of cheat meals and also meal prep meals as well. So he does like a mixture, got some great stuff on there that you can use to give you good ideas to make a meal plan and then put that into MyFitnessPal as well. And then Aussie Fitness as well does a mixture of cheat meals and meal prep meals. Aussie Fitness is probably my favorite, but I can even show you right now just over the camera. So this is what Aussie Fitness's Instagram looks like. So it's basically, you can see like all those meals on there, and he's got like wraps and all that sort of stuff, like, tenders and, all sorts of cool stuff. High protein. You can make that into a bit of a meal prep thing. Nuggets, chips, what's that? Alfredo, creamy chicken Alfredo. And it's basically just, using different methods like air fryer and, low calorie cheese and like, using chicken breast instead of chicken thigh. And he just manipulates a lot of little things to overall make the calories lower and the protein higher. And that's essentially what flexible dieting is: eating the foods that you love, so that you're still full. If you could just have Maccas every day for lunch, not even like, flexible dieting version of Maccas, and there are flexible dieting versions of like McChickens and cheeseburgers and all that on those accounts. But if you would have that every day, then not only would you just feel like hungry all the time because they're not very nutritionally satiating, but you would also just feel really bad as well. Like you feel shit, your mood would be shit because your body's not being supplied with the nutrients that it needs. Like a lot of these foods are very nutrient dense as well. Like they're using proper protein, they're using proper chicken breast, they're using actual real foods. Some of them are like a little bit more processed, but ultimately, as long as you're hitting your calories and macros, that's the main thing. So I definitely recommend go checking those accounts out. I know that when I found them, it changed everything because I was making, all sorts of yummy stuff, for meal prepping and whatnot. And and really enjoying the food that I was eating as well. Being able to eat, chicken Alfredo, creamy pasta every day for meal prep, but still be able to hit my calories and macros. So if you're interested in that, go check them out, and they'll give you some really good ideas for what you want to be doing regarding meal prep. All right, so now we're going to go through some scenarios. So this is the last thing in this video. I'm going to take you through 3 scenarios. Now we can use that base of knowledge that we've got, and what would it look like on a day-to-day basis when you're tracking your calories. Okay, so scenario 1, weekend, for example. You wake up on the weekend, in the morning on Saturday, and you want to have an English breakfast. You want to have eggs and bacon and tomato and spinach and hash browns or whatever. You want to have takeout for lunch, so you want to go and have like Guzman and Gomez for lunch, or Macca's, but try not to have that stuff. Try to, if you really like Macca's, just have it rarely. Guzman and Gomez is like a nice takeout, or Zambreros is another sort of healthier takeout. And you want to go and to your favorite Italian place that night, with your friends, okay? And tracking calories allows you to do things like that and still be achieving your goal, okay? So this is a scenario that you'd run through. This is sort of the mental process, okay? So you've got to stay under X amount of calories and stay over X amount of protein. So the first thing you do is pre-track. So on Saturday morning, you get up, you pre-track, you plan it out for the day. All right, so you're on your phone. For breakfast, you'd be scanning barcodes, searching up in the app. You'd be weighing your food, so you'd be like, eggs, look up eggs, 2 eggs. Maybe you have a packet of hash browns, like you scan the barcode for the hash browns. 1, bring the hash brown out and grill it in the oven. Tomato, like you just search up tomato, weigh the tomato, bang, good to go. Bacon, for example, you scan the barcode. I think it's pre-portioned, so it'd be like 1 slice of bacon or 2 slices of bacon. Bang, good to go. So you're sort of adding as you go in that scenario. If you're just deciding to have, an English breakfast, for example, for lunch, let's say having like a regular chicken burrito bowl from Guzman and Gomez, you go through that method that I've talked about before, about, searching it up, searching the nutrition label up, manually adding the food, or just searching it up and trying to find it on MyFitnessPal in the search tab. If you can't find it, and then you search up the nutritional info and add new, just like I was talking about before. Okay, so the chicken bowl from Guzman and Gomez is great because it's very filling, and it's you can get it on the go through drive-through, and it's also really relatively high in protein as well. For dinner, you want to go to the Italian place. It's not on MyFitnessPal; it's just a random Italian place. So you'd be using the guesstimation method for that. Not preferable, but better than nothing. So that you're also planning to have 2 glasses of wine as well. So you just add that in. Just go like Italian. I'm going to have a pasta tonight. I'm going to have like a spaghetti bolognese or a pizza. I'm just going to put that in. 2 glasses of wine in there. That sort of tells you how many calories you should be aiming for your lunch and dinner. Your snacks. You got your pre-grouping of supplements and pre-workout if you're working out that day, creatine. You've got that oil that you're cooking. If you're cooking with breakfast, make sure you add in oils, all that sort of stuffs. If you're having some fruit for snacks or whatever, maybe a protein shake or whatever. Maybe you take out snacks that you usually have, like fruit and whatever, carb dominant snacks, and just have a protein shake to bring the calories down a little bit. So that you can still hit your protein goals and, eat those sort of carb/fat dominant foods like pizza at night. But you'll do that through your pre-tracking. So that's why pre-tracking is really good, because you can track everything for the day. You can check your macros. It's not quite right. All right, I'm going to go back and change some things here and there. All right, it's all good. Like the macros line up, the calories line up. Bang, I'm just going to go eat it for the day. Okay. Don't forget the little things, oil, coffee with your milk, supplements for the day, all that sort of stuff. So that's like scenario 1, for example, okay? It just gets you sort of thinking, I go through this sort of motion in the day, and this is how I would, track calories to be able to stick to the process. Scenario 2, a weekday. You wake up on a Tuesday morning, and this is a little bit more sort of like a rare scenario. You wake up on your Tuesday morning, you do your pre-tracking for the day, you plan your normal overnight oats for the morning, normal teriyaki beef bowl for lunch, and your steak and roasted veggies for dinner. Okay, so that's like you've just planned that out for the day. Add in all your extras, your oil, your sups, like all that sort of stuff. Fish oils if you're having fish oils, and snacks. So you've just planned it out for the day. You've got to stay under X amount of calories and over X amount of protein. You get to work and you realize that you've forgotten your lunch. You forgot your teriyaki beef bowl. So you go to the servo. You get a My Muscle Chef or a Youfoodz, scan the barcode, nice save. Okay, you've saved that one. You've gone to the servo. You just picked they usually have like My Muscle Chefs or just pre-made sort of foods with pretty high calories and not that crazy in protein. Other way, pretty high in protein and not that crazy in calories. So yeah, you've sort of like you've forgotten lunch, but you've made a good choice there. Okay. So it doesn't have the same calories as your normal teriyaki beef bowl, but it does have the same amount of calories, but it doesn't have as much protein. So it means you're going to have to change up your portion sizes at dinner to be able to get the amount of protein. Okay. So for example, you get to dinner, you just hop on the app, you take a bit of potato out of dinner, and you add an extra half scoop of your you have a half scoop protein shake as a snack. After dinner, or as just a snack after gym. You just, instead of having 1 scoop of protein, you just have 1.5 or 2 scoops of protein, because that day you're going to have slightly less protein because you've had to make that adjustment. Okay. So that just sort of gets you thinking, like, if shit does hit the fan, then those are sort of the adjustments you'd make. You get back on the app, you just be like, all right, I've done my normal lunch, my protein's lower, my calories are higher. These are the adjustments that I need to make for dinner and my snacks to be able to still hit my goals. Bang. Okay, scenario 3. So this is more random, more complex. Okay, I know it looks like a lot, but this sort of just gets you thinking to be able to solve any scenario that sort of might come up. The day looks like this. You want to try a flexible dieting burrito for breakfast. You wake up, you want to try a flexible dieting burrito. You've got lunch at grandma's. You don't know what she's cooking. You haven't decided on dinner, but you're planning on trying like a flexible dieting air fryer Pop-Tart for dessert. Okay. So you've pre-tracked your breakfast and your dessert because that's what you're going to be having, but you're not quite sure what you're going to have for lunch or dinner yet. Okay. So you go to grandma's. She has a massive lasagna with sausages, potato, bake. Shit, what do I do? She doesn't even give you a chance to weigh it. She's just served it up for you. Bang, you don't know what to do. Don't know what brand the sausages are. This is going to require some serious maths, okay? You don't want to sit there and try and guesstimate when you're at this social event. So what I would do is I'd just take a photo of the plate and then just work it out when you get home. You get home from grandma's, you look at the photo of what you ate, and you use the guesstimation method. So you realize that it probably was way more calories than you thought. And you get on the app and you rearrange some things and you realize that you probably need to have something low calorie and high protein for dinner. So you make yourself like a chicken breast salad. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's pretty low in calories and pretty high in protein, and a Diet Coke, and you just have that for dinner. Okay. You're still hungry with not many calories to go and 30 grams of protein left. So you end up having a protein smoothie with some Jelly Light and Tilly's ice cream for your low calorie, high protein dessert instead of the Pop-Tart, because that you just had to make those adjustments in order to get the amount of protein for the amount of calories. And you've happened to just, even despite all of that, you've happened to go 300 calories over. So what you would do is you would just pre-track the next day. You'd use the compensation method, take 300 calories off the next day, and bang, you're good to go. Okay, so that's problem solved. So I know it's a little bit more complex than that, but that is sort of like the train of thinking that I would go through when these sort of bombs come up, and just random bombshell meals that you don't predict, to be able to still stick to your calories and macros. As I said, the main thing is that you're averaging an amount of calories and amount of protein per week, even if it does fluctuate day to day because you're compensating. It is what it is. Ultimately, if you can get consistent every day, have your 2,000 calories or whatever your goal is every single day, then that'd be perfect. But if you do have to compensate on certain days, you go a little bit over, you got to go compensate the next day and whatever, that's okay as well. But it's never going to be perfect. You're always going to have scenarios where you're going to have to guesstimate. You're going to have to compensate. You're going to have to do these things to be able to make sure you're still hitting the average amount of protein and calories. But you got to do what you got to do. This is dieting, and if it was easy, everyone would do it. So, at least we can get you thinking the right way so that you can still hit those targets and achieve your goal, despite having, more enjoyable foods. So even if you look at a day like this guy had, a burrito for breakfast. He had lasagna for lunch, and then he had dessert. He had ice cream and jelly and a protein smoothie. And yes, he did have chicken salad for dinner. But still, if you look at that day, it's like, that's actually like, not bad. He had some pretty yummy things that day. But because he's tracked his calories and he's made sure that they're all lined up, he's still going to achieve his goal of getting shredded for summer, So, it's just about taking the scenarios as they come and coming up with solutions as you go, okay? So this is a recap of today. Finishing up now. So today we've covered tracking the little things like oil, sups, pre-workout, coffee makes a difference. Pre-tracking, so just being really organized, pre-tracking for the day, sitting down the day before or the day of, pre-tracking your calories, just being organized is going to save you so much, just save you time and also keep you accountable and make sure you're eating the right things. Fixing bad macronutrient ratios. If you do get in a scenario where your protein's down and your calories are high, having a protein shake or having some protein yogurt. Tracking your alcohol, what that kind of looks like. It's okay to have alcohol. It's not the end of the world if you have a couple of drinks on the weekend, just as long as you're accounting for it, okay? Flexibility versus consistency. This is what we talked about before of, do you want a more flexible diet? Do you want a more consistent diet? It's up to you. Flexibility is going to take you a little bit more time, but it might be a case of being consistent through the week and then a bit more flexible on the weekend, and that's okay. You'll be using the app more on the weekend, doing a bit more weighing and tracking on the weekend, but you've got more time anyway, so it doesn't really matter as much, okay? The compensation method, so if you do happen to go under or over, next couple of days, just equal it out again, or a couple of days prior, give yourself, bank some calories for that day, if you know it's going to be a big one. Meal prepping, so definitely recommend meal prepping. If the series is out, definitely go watch meal prepping series if you're interested in it. If it's not out, you just look up sort of some meal prepping tips, or if you have a general idea of how you want to meal prep, go for it. Flexible dieting as well, so eating the foods you love that are low in calorie, high in protein. Going and checking out some of those accounts give you some good ideas for meal prep, and also just I want to have this low calorie, high protein pizza for Saturday night when I'm watching the footy. Something like that, or nuggets. I'm going to try these nuggets on the weekend because they sound amazing. So go have a look at those recipes and those accounts and check that out. And then different scenarios as well. We covered those scenarios to get you thinking the right ways to make sure you're educated, schooled up, ready to go into your day-to-day routine and be able to solve any problems that come up. Okay, to the best of your ability. It might not be perfect. It might not be exactly the way that it's not going to be perfect every time, but it's all about progress over perfection. If you don't get it right, it's okay. Just do the best you can. If you fall off, just get back on the train as soon as you can. And if you get yourself in a sticky scenario, hopefully some of this content today will help you understand it better to be able to get out of that scenario, and also make sure you don't end up in that scenario again. Okay. So, and that also goes for like social events on the weekend. So a lot of this stuff is teaching you how to, do the social events you love on the weekend, but still stick to your calories and macros by using compensation method, tracking your alcohol, pre-tracking, fixing bad macronutrient ratios. A lot of this stuff is very parallel to people who like to socialize and go out and enjoy themselves on the weekend. So as long as you're using these methods, then it's going to make the process of tracking calories a lot more enjoyable, a lot more accurate and consistent, and overall just less of a hassle, okay? So that you can still enjoy life and achieve your goals, okay? So that's that. That is pretty much it for the day. We've got a little conclusion here as well that I want to go through. So calorie counting, nearly done. the last slide, calorie counting is more than just a tool for weight management. Okay, so like I mentioned in the first video, it's more than a tool for weight management. It's a powerful method to ensure and enhance our understanding of nutrition, so that we can make informed choices about what we eat. Okay, by tracking our caloric intake, we gain insight into our dietary habits, which can help us achieve and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Okay, remember, the goal of calorie counting isn't to restrict ourselves, but to empower ourselves with knowledge. Okay, it's not about restriction, it's about empowering. Okay, it allows us to strike a balance between enjoying the favorite foods we love, but also being able to stay on track and with our health goals, and our body composition goals as well. Okay, and I remember I mentioned in the first video, which is really important. I know this is a lot, and it's a lot of stuff to learn, and it sounds very stressful, but ultimately, you want to see this process as taking stress out of your nutrition. Okay, taking stress out of your nutrition, because you know that you can still enjoy the foods you love, but as long as you're hitting your calories and macros, you're going to be able to hit that body composition. You're going to be able to achieve that body composition goal, as long as you're hitting it over time consistently. Okay, cool. That is it for video 3. So that is the full series, video 1, 2, and 3. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. So yeah, I know this is a lot, but if you can take these skills and really try and implement them and try the process and really get into a routine. When you're developing a routine, any routine, it's always hardest at the start, but once you get into it, it's going to become easier and easier as you go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it from us. Let us know if you have any questions at all. And we'll definitely get back to you about it. And from there, we'll go into it. Start tracking macros. This is information and knowledge that is condensed from myself and my brother's learnings of over almost a decade. So that we can, and we condensed it into, yes, they're long videos. These have been long videos, but now the full process of how to achieve your goals, still enjoy yourself, and be able to get in any type of body shape you want. Okay, let us know if you have any questions. That's it from us, and I will be catching you guys very soon. Cheers. Bye bye.